This one's kind of interesting as well. Sharp Football Analytics Fantasy Football Quarterback Rankings for 2022. You see the top 10, Allen, Herbert, Mahomes, Murray, Jackson. And then you get into, they got Trey Lance at number 10. They have Deshaun Watson all the way down at 14. They got Baker Mayfield at 36 and Jacoby Brissett at 38. I think Deshaun's a little low on that. And again, they may be factoring in that he isn't going to get to play all 17 games, or the thought was that he's not going to get to play all 17 games. It's looking more and more like that suspension might be down the road a little bit.
Yeah, and I think that they're kind of keeping that in mind when it comes to Watson. Because, again, I think that if you're factoring in missing 6 games, then, at that point, then you're really looking at that and saying, all right, coming in at 14 isn't half bad, especially given the fact that you're missing, almost half of the season. I think that him sliding in at 14, I think makes a lot of sense in that sense. But, looking at some of the quarterbacks ahead of him, Aaron Rodgers coming in at number 13, that seems a little low for me. I know that they don't necessarily have the weapons, obviously, without Devontae Adams, but, it seems a little bit low to me, and especially to the Trey Lance at 10, I don't really get. For somebody who, keep in mind, hasn't really been a true starter in over 2 years. He started 1 game at North Dakota State, and then last year, started in relief of Jimmy Garoppolo, but really didn't get that much action. So, keeping all of that in mind, I think that it's a little bit low for Watson. I could see him kind of climbing up, but especially if he doesn't get suspended, I don't think that top 10 is a hot take. I don't think top 5 is a hot take at that point. Between the options that he has on the outside, we mentioned David Njoku, I mentioned Amari Cooper, and I think David Bell is somebody who's a little bit of a sleeper. Won't necessarily be a super fantasy relevant player, but I think that he's going to be good enough to go ahead and elevate Watson up a little bit more. So it wouldn't shock me if Watson ends up in the top 5 if he does play the entire year.
Yeah, I agree with you, in part because teams are going to have to respect Brown's running game. He hasn't had that with the Texans at all.